Hello, welcome to How to Succeed During a Pandemic. Hi, I'm Wendy Lally, your host, and I'm thrilled to welcome you today because we have a really interesting show, especially interesting today. What we are going to do is we're going to meet three career coaches who specialize in coaching people in business. And they are going to have a conversation about why just about everybody needs a coach, especially during this period when we're all kind of rethinking careers, restarting our career, and trying to figure out what we're going to do next. So I thought we would go to the experts and ask them how they're working with their clients and what they suggest for all of you who are listening right now. My business is copywriting. I'm a marketing writer and a strategist. And I actually do dabble a little bit in career coaching. I've been an outplacement counselor for part of my career. Sorry, I don't talk much. That's why I'm getting a little stumbling over these words. But I became a career coach because I am terrifically admiring of people who do this. It's a very, very important function in our society today. And that's another thing that I want to touch on in this discussion. But right now, I'm going to stop and introduce the people who we're going to be talking to. First, we have Jason Rosado, who lives in Oak Park. And Jason actually coached me. And I'm delighted to say he's excellent. And, after all, I'm a product of his teaching. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He previously, right now, the founder and the principal of a company called Distinctive Coaching for Business Success. And that's a very accurate description of what he does. Previously, he held leadership positions in training and development roles in Microsoft, Scudder Kemper Investments, and Premier Global Services. So he's very familiar with the corporate world. He's also held offices with our local chamber. And right now he's the education coach of our BNI that he and I both belong to. And I have to say, it's wonderful having him in that position. So he's best known for, and this is something I'm sure will be of interest to many people, of helping people achieve a better life balance while being more productive and more profitable. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Andrea Mia. And Andrea has a business called Creative Coaching. And I just love that name because I think coaching is so creative and she is so creative. She's spent 18 years of her life in the film industry. And she's been involved with production and marketing of films. And I think carried some of those skill sets into her coaching. Helping people to tell stories about themselves. She lives right now in Portland, Oregon, but she has lived and worked in Japan and the Netherlands, as well as the United States. So you can see she's not only well-traveled, she's actually coached people in those countries and in other countries as well. She's worked as a certified coach and consultant for Modern Health, Right Management, and other companies as well. And she has fashioned a series of coaching videos for Unicity. Am I pronouncing that right, Andrea?
Udacity.
Yeah. Thank you. And they're really interesting. You can find them on YouTube, among other places, and she'll tell you a little bit about those. And last but not least, we have Debora Hood. And I met Debora networking, and we just kind of really clicked. And I thought, yes, you've got to be on this show about coaches. She is working in Denver. And as you can see, we're covering the country with this show. She helps new and established businesses identify, develop, and implement key strategies to achieve measurable results on their bottom line. And her company is called Communication Specialties, Inc. So she also advises clients on appropriate business structure to maximize revenue and minimize tax liability. In other words, she helps people make more money with maybe less effort. Am I describing that correctly? Good.
That
So let's get to it. The first thing I'd like you to do is just step in a little bit and have each of you take a few minutes, kind of do an elevator pitch, but talk about how you became a coach and why you like coaching. And Jason, we're going to start with you.
Thanks. And thanks for having me and everybody here today. Very much looking forward to this. I work with service-based business owners who generally have an established business. They have a staff, even if it's just one person, but their business isn't growing as fast as they'd like, or they're feeling a lot of overwhelm, too much to do on their plate, which is very common. And they just want to see things move faster and smoother. So I help them to do that. I help them to solve their time issues, time management, resources in terms of people needing them so much, clients, employees, people who need hand-holding, because all these things take them away from what they want to do the most. And that usually stops them from having the business grow at the pace they want, and being able to spend time relaxed at home and with their family, as Wendy mentioned about work-life balance. So most of my clients can see their business double or triple usually within a few months while they're able to cut their work hours. And how I got into that is because it's one of those things that a whole bunch of things came together at once and just worked out perfectly. But so going back, over 20 or 30 years ago, who knows? I used to be a partner in a restaurant group. And so I was managing this restaurant that I was partnering in, and I would come up with conversation. I would meet people out socializing who are other restaurant owners and managers. And we'd get to talking about, well, how many hours a week do you work? And they would say, well, like 80, 90, sometimes 100. And I was like, wow. And they go, well, how many do you work? I was like, 35. And they were like, well, how do you do that? I said, well, I, take a look at what I can do, what I need to be done in the business that I can't do, hire good people, train them well, and then trust them. And they're like, oh, that would never work for me where I work. I was like, yeah, right. Anyway, so that's where it started. And then going into the corporate world, I was never in favor of bringing work home. I just didn't think you needed to do it, and just follow those same philosophies and principles along the way. So my last full-time job, I was training manager at Premier Global Services. We were bought by a larger company. I had to figure out what to do next. And I had missed working for myself. I wanted to do that again. I know I had amassed all these skills. So I can help people move forward in their life. I can help them set goals, look forward, create motivations for themselves, be better managers, grow a business, probably even date better, because so many of these skills are transferable. And I thought, I'd like to do that. And then I heard of this thing, coaching, and I looked into it because this idea had been in my head for a while. So I looked into it, and as I was researching, I was like, wow, that's it. That's a thing that was in my head. It's a real job. That's awesome. So I decided to go get certified at Coach U and set up shop. And that was 15 years ago. And I've just been loving it.
That's great. What a great story. And I think that can happen to a number of us, where we discover something that we didn't even know was a business. That's actually what happened to me with outplacement. I was a recruiter, and then I discovered I was doing outplacement as a recruiter. And the idea that I could make money doing that side of recruitment was like, hallelujah. Mia, how about you? I'm sorry, Andrea. I love the fact that you have, like, to me, two first names, by the way.
So I didn't know what coaching was at all. I was in the film business for a long time and got kind of burnt out on it. And the reason I went into it regardless was I have always enjoyed film. I've always enjoyed storytelling. And I thought this was a natural way to be able to do that. One of the things that was important for me in film was that I was working on projects that at least tried to make some sort of difference, tried to open people up to new ideas or new cultures or new anything, just something that hasn't been seen before in some way, which is extremely challenging. And when I left Los Angeles and moved to North Carolina, I realized, one, I couldn't do the film industry there really for the area that I was in. And two, I didn't really want to at that point. And I talked to someone who is a facilitator actually, and she coached me. And I was like, oh, well, this is quite interesting. This is not psychology, which I've always had a certain aversion to. And this is, but this is about moving people forward in some way. And so that's how I was introduced to it, was just by my friend Wendy White, who's been doing facilitation and coaching for, I don't know, 30 years now. And then I decided to go get training, and also at presence-based training, which was with Doug Silsby, was very much about presence, and that's an important aspect of coaching. And what I have found since starting my own business is that I have my niche basically is one is helping people own and tell their stories and see their stories. It's a very difficult thing to do. And you need a mirror to help you do that basically. And then once you've done that, strategizing as to how do you take the next step towards becoming more clearly the person you want to be, regardless of where you are right now. And so all the strategy that went into producing and storytelling and all of that, like what are all the elements that need to go in, then goes into strategy. And so I think that I'm this mix between storyteller and strategist, basically. And the people I work with most are creatives, whether that be in the technological world or starting their own business world or in the arts in some sort of fashion.
And don't you agree that, I think all people are creative. I don't know. I can't imagine an uncreative 3-year-old. I just, I think we somehow lose the connection with our creativity, or a lot of us do.
I think it's not valued oftentimes for some people and in some professions. And whether if you are a person who wants to produce, feels the compulsion to produce in some way, that you have to figure that out. What path will allow you to be aligned with what you want to do? No, I think some people they want to skim through life as best they can, doing the minimal thing possible and get through the other side. Not even judging it, just saying, I've definitely run into people. It's like, okay.
You also don't you? How much they're missing. Deborah, how about you?
Well, I love the fact that we have all talked about strategy and the importance of strategizing and looking forward, because almost from the very beginning of my work in this field, I have identified myself as a business results strategist rather than a coach. And that means that my training, my focus, my methods are sometimes different than a coach would use, because they're very focused on helping my clients really define, first of all, what it is they want to achieve, and then designing, building, and implementing with them the right strategies to move them toward those achievements, results, and outcomes. I spent a good portion of my life by training and avocation as a journalist. And I had the great good fortune, I believe, to work with trade publications. This allowed me to work directly with the businesses who were interacting with and benefiting from the publications that I was writing for. And I was a writer, an editor, and a publication manager. So I saw all aspects of it, and I worked directly with my readership, much differently than most people who are writing for the general media. And I had an opportunity, not that I realized it at the time, but I was, through those years, developing a skill set in observation and analysis of business practices, because I worked day in and day out with people who were excelling and succeeding with their businesses, with people whose businesses were struggling. And I was talking with them, interviewing them as a reporter. I was learning with them what was working well and learning with them how to see the disconnect. And really, the disconnects that I began to see in business overall are what drew me into this specialty as a strategist, specifically working with small and medium-sized businesses with engaged, hands-on owners. Because I realized very quickly, if the owner, that decision maker, is not involved, there is no way that any sort of change can be sustained. Because if the owner isn't behind it, understanding it, and at a heart level involved with it, it's only going to be something that is overlaid across all of those old defaults.
Thank you, Deborah. It was fascinating, and it brought up a question that I've kind of asked several of you in the little document that I sent you about the difference between a coach and a mentor, because it seems to me that what you were talking about, what your dad was doing, was mentoring people. And I wonder, when you're coaching, do you see yourself in that way, or do you see yourself in kind of a different role, and a mentor being a separate person from a coach?
I see it as a separate thing. I see coaching, that there's a certain format to coaching that the mentors have no format to. They can do what they want, and there's a certain commitment or transactional nature to coaching that hopefully mentors do not have, because I don't think that's the nature of mentoring in that sense. But I think that there's also similarities in the sense that you could have a mentor who's good to help you with your finances. You could have a mentor who's good to help you with your romantic life. You could have a mentor that's good to help you with your business life. And in that way, I think that there are different coaches for different parts of your life as well, that it's not one size fits all. I have my mentor and that's it. I also think that having a mentor is like a slithery, elusive beast, like a trying to catch fish with your hand. That one, they're hard to find, and because it's basically like any relationship, you're looking for a specific type of relationship, and hopefully you're finding a willing party to basically become your advocate and your friend, and so I've met many people who have had mentors and been very lucky to have more mentors, and many people who would have loved to have a mentor but haven't. And so I think that's why I call it at times this elusive beast. Are we acting as mentors, as coaches? In some respects, yes, but in some respects it's different.
Jason, how about you?
Mentor can mean so many different things to so many different people. So it's to have a conversation about it without defining how we're relating to it in this specific discussion. But the way, and also different coaches can have a mentoring style, different mentors can have a coaching style. Some are very different. It's kind of all over the place. The thing I think that is most important is whether you need to figure out where you want to go, where you are now, where you want to be, and what's going to get you there the best way for you. And then figure out if that's a coach, if that's a mentor, if most coaches are hired. Do you do that, or do you go to your place of employment or to a networking association you belong to and try to find someone who can be a mentor? All that said, but then coaching, there is a very specific process to it, and skills that we learn through coaching certification and training and advanced training and all this that most people who haven't gone through those don't have. So I do think that's important,
I think that's a very astute observation. And I was thinking of that when Andrea was talking too, is that even with the best intention, you're not necessarily, everyone is obviously not trained as a coach. And the difference between coaching and mentoring is that training. So, and all of you I know do this, you kind of zero in on where the problem is and how to find the solution. You may do it with supportive, a supportive style, which, I associate with mentoring, think most people do. But at the same time, you're not kind of futzing around. You know how to get to the answer and help the person pretty quickly, and to motivate them to help themselves as well, which a mentor may not know how to do. Deborah, do you agree with that, or is that?
I do. For me, a mentor is important, and a coach or results strategist is also important. I see a mentor as a colleague who is a few steps to perhaps a lot of steps farther along the road, someone who can help pave the way, perhaps provide advantageous introductions. To me, a mentor is oftentimes an informal relationship that is based on mutual interests and mutual experience, or at least a similar experience. Someone who is brought in with the express desire of helping the business and its people to move forward successfully. That's a professional business relationship. It is a transactional relationship based on results. And there is a very different process that goes on there. Mentorship can develop and evolve and change over years. Some of us also work with clients over multiple years, but in a very different way. Frankly, a good coach or strategist can help their clients connect with mentors. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a very inclusive process with different specialties.
And I think what you said too about the transactional nature, and I think that goes to motivation, as someone described a BNI type networking group as having skin in the game, that, because you're investing in yourself, the likelihood of you're taking the advice and the direction that the coach is offering you, I think, is greater than it would be if it was just, Uncle Fred saying, I've been there too, and whatever. So I think that's an element of this. I want to ask all of you, how would you suggest that someone chooses a coach? What should they look for if they're kind of looking to connect with someone and not quite sure which person to choose to work with?
I'll speak up to that. I'm just actually going to reflect what I've heard from clients as to why they've chosen and how they've chosen. And I think it has a lot to do with voice, and whether the person's voice and the way they speak and the way they engage is something that you can relate to and that feels comforting in some ways. One of the things that a client was checking on, I'm the type of coach that I don't just ask questions. I also offer stories. I think I toggle between consulting and coaching at times, and let them know that. Some people want that. Some people want it to be purely coaching, and I'm not the best choice for that, So I think that whether it's through writing or whether it's through listening or seeing, that there's something that you find relatable and that it's a voice that you respond to.
Deborah, how about you? Would you agree with that advice and kind of?
I do. I think it is very important to, from a client standpoint, to give yourself the opportunity and the space to get to know a variety of people. It's very hard to base a one-to-one relationship on a single conversation. Do you have a single conversation to join someone's group and become part of a small group focus on what you want to achieve? Yeah, I think that can happen. But I think you need to develop a rapport with the person. And if that doesn't happen, or if that little niggle says this isn't the right fit, listen to that within yourself. I also think it's important that you're able to come to understand clearly what you and the person you're choosing to work with on your business's behalf. What is it you want to accomplish as a client? Don't be afraid to ask, how will we be able to measure this? And if you don't get a response, keep questioning. It's important that you understand how that's all going to work. The outcome is the most important thing.
I look at it from two perspectives. One is how the client chooses you, but then how the coach chooses their clients. And yeah, so yeah, for the client, I think I agree with everything that's been said. And I think it's super important for them to take a look and find a coach who has been in their situation, has accomplished what they want to accomplish. Like everybody has said, has a good vibe, a good rapport, feels just that connection. You have to feel that connection with the person, because this is an investment. It's a relationship that you're going to have. And trust me, I've had clients whom I don't like very much, and I've had clients who I loved. And over the years, I've been able to figure out my intake process and sort through, and I don't take clients anymore who I don't like. So yes. And so that goes to how the coach selects the client. So for me, the criteria is, one, do I know, I have an intake process. So I get to know them. I get to know their business, their challenges, and how it fits together with my process and how I can help them. So A, do I know that I can help them to knock it out of the park? And if that's a yes, great. B, is this going to be very valuable for them in a dollar's sense? Are they going to get a big return on investment? Okay, yes, good. C, is this somebody, like I said, I like? Do I want to go hang out with them, have a drink, go to dinner? And honestly, my clients and I'd love to laugh when we're coaching. I think it's the best medicine. So of course, we're going to have some serious stuff. We might go through some emotionally tough stuff sometimes. But in the end, I think that connection just gets so good when you can laugh. You can laugh at yourself. You can laugh at others. You can make light of a situation knowing that you're going to bring it back to what's going to help them so much. So that's my third thing is, is this somebody I genuinely like and want to hang out with? And if all those are a go, then yes, I would love to work with that person and support them. And I want them to make sure also that they feel the same way, because I don't want them to hire me if they're doubting any of that.
I want to thank all of you for today. This has just been wonderful. And I'm very grateful for all the insights that you shared, the wisdom that you shared with us. And I'm sure everyone listening to this is as well. There will be contact information for all these coaches on the back end of this show. So if you want to contact them, I hope you will. And as we've observed, you can connect with them through Zoom, which is just kind of wonderful. So wherever you are, you can have a coach wherever they are. In any case, like I said, we're reaching 12:30 and we have to go. But I want to thank all of you again. Thank the audience for coming, and encourage you to come back. We're always here Monday between noon and 12:30 on 216thenet.com. We also are on Facebook, and you can see all these wonderfully healthy, smiling faces on YouTube, and also Facebook. The page is Succeed in a Pandemic. And I hope that you'll go to that, like it and share it. And you can keep going back, because you can hear the observations these folks have made many times, as often as you need to. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. I encourage all of you, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, to consider doing that, because it's a good thing. My little commercial. And we're really seem to be coming to the end of this trying time in our history. I certainly hope so, for all of our sakes. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and stay well. Thank you.